Welcome to the Fall Garden Challenge, day number 2. Today we are getting into the plants, which is what we're all here for, right? So before we can really do today's exercise, I want to teach you a lesson I learned the hard way, and that's how to categorize plants based on how much time they need in the garden. Now, you may have heard of my book. It's called Leaves, Roots, and Fruit. Over the years, as I grew tons of plants in my own kitchen garden, I realized that plants, based on their output in the garden, do I grow them for the leaves or for the roots or for the fruit, that determined how long they needed in the garden to get to that place. In other words, plants produce leaves first, then they grow really deep, thick roots, and then they put on flowers and fruit. So we're going to use these categories to help us pick our plants for our fall garden, no matter where we're growing. So this is some math that you can put into your head. Leaves are going to take about 30 to 45 days in the garden before you can harvest them. Roots are going to take about 45 to 65 days. We'll just say 60 for yucks. And then fruit crops are going to take 75 to 90 days to finish in the garden. You got it? Now we're going to decide how to make a plan for our fall garden. Now, you've already done the math in day 1. You know how many days you've got before your warm season ends and how many days you've got in the cool season from your first frost date all the way to December 1st. So now it's time to pick our plants based on the seasons we'll have in the fall garden, and this is key: how many days are in those seasons for each of us. So the first thing you're going to do is select your warm season plants. So look at that number and see how many days you have left in your warm season this fall. You may have 10 days, you may have 30 days, you may have 60 days, you may have 120 days if you don't have a first frost date in the fall season. And that's wonderful. No matter how many days you have, we're going to base our plant selection on those number of days. So if you've got less than 30 days left in your warm season before your first frost, then you can skip this step. You're not going to select any warm season plants because your cool season is well on its way. So you're going to be focusing on the cool season. If you've got 30 to 60 days in the warm season ahead of you before you switch to the first frost date, then you can focus on leaves and some root crops that love the warm season. If you have more than 60 days, 60 to 90 days plus, then you can choose to have leaves and roots and fruit in your warm season garden for the fall. So you do the math, figure out how many days, you already know how many days you've got left in your warm season. That'll help you determine if you're going to grow leaves and roots, or leaves, roots, and fruit in your warm season before you hit your first frost date. Next, we're going to look at our cool season days. So now you're going to do the math to figure out how many cool season days you have from your first frost date all the way till December 1st. You've already done that math, so now you're going to determine if you have enough days to grow leaves, roots, and fruit, or all of the above. So if you're going to have at least 30 days in your cool season, which most of us are, then you're going to be able to grow cool season leafy plants inside of your fall garden. So this is all the lettuces, all the greens. They are going to fit inside that 30 to 45 day window for your cool season. Now, if you've got about 60 days in your cool season before you hit December 1st, then you can grow both leafy greens and root crops that love the cool season. And then if you've got 90 days in your cool season ahead of you, then you're going to be able to grow leaves and roots and fruit that all like the cool season. Now, we're going to include a list in your workbook that tells you a few of the plants that are in the leaves, roots, and fruit category, both in the cool season and in the warm season. So you're going to pick your warm season plants, those that you can finish up before the first frost comes, and then you're going to pick your cool season plants, those that you can get grown before we hit December 1st. Now, some of you are going to be able to grow in the cool season way beyond December 1st, but I wanted to set that as our deadline because this is, after all, a fall garden challenge. And I think for most of us, winter is what begins December 1st. So that'll be a time to consider closing down the garden, protecting the garden for most of us. But some of you, especially those closest to the equator, you'll be able to push on through the cool season well into December and even January. All right, that is your task for day 2. It's a big one. Choosing your plants for the warm season and the cool season based on how many days you have in each season. Thanks so much for joining day 2 of the Fall Garden Challenge, and I will see you tomorrow.